Good morning. This is Lou Rogers, evangelist from Franklin Church of God, to bring the morning devotional this morning. Do you know the Bible declares that the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases? His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Lamentations 3:22. I just came by today to talk to you for a few minutes of God's never-ending mercies. They are new every morning, as fresh as the morning air. Now, the writer of this verse, Jeremiah, in the book of Lamentations, we find Jeremiah is lamenting. Sometimes we pull a verse out and we don't realize, kind of out of context, we don't realize what's going on around him, what has happened. We find here in the scripture that he is lamenting. To lament means to cry of sorrow and grief, to wail. It denotes sadness. What is he lamenting about? Well, I want us to look at that for just a couple minutes. If you read the previous chapter in the book of Jeremiah, you'll find that Jeremiah has just seen the city fall to an invading army. He watched the gates burn. Jeremiah has watched his neighbors and some of his friends that were killed during the siege. Humanly speaking, his entire world was falling apart. Jeremiah is lamenting. He's crying out in sorrow and pain. And Lamentations 2:19, it says, "Arise, cry out in the night, at the beginning of the night watches. Pour out your heart like water before the presence of the Lord." His heart is broke. He has witnessed so much bad stuff that he had even forgotten what happiness is. If you read Lamentations 3:17, it says, "Thou hast removed my soul far from peace. I forgot prosperity or happiness." In 18 it says, "And I said, my strength and my hope is perished from the Lord." Jeremiah here, as you read the scripture, is in despair. He couldn't get the images out of his mind of all the awful things that are happening, that he has witnessed, and it is crushing his heart. He's hurting here. But then we come to this moment. Right in the middle of his lamenting, right in the middle of his despair, he remembers. What does he remember? Well, verse 20 says, "My soul hath them still in remembrance, and is humbled in me. This I recall to my mind. Therefore will I hope." He remembers this, verse 22. "It is of the Lord's mercies we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not, for they are new every morning." His mercies are new every morning. And then he says, "Great is thy faithfulness." He remembered the steadfast love of the Lord and how faithful he is and how he gives new mercies every morning, no matter what is going on around you. And this begins to boost his faith. This begins to bring hope to him again. In the moment of his dread and defeat, truth steps in. And Jeremiah gets a hold of it. God is faithful no matter what is happening. And Jeremiah gets a hold of that, even though all the circumstances surrounding him are horrible. He remembers God's faithfulness. And he declares the goodness of God. And he declares that God's goodness is not contingent upon his situation. He's humbled as he realizes God's mercies are there, and nothing can hold them back. For he declares emphatically, "For great is thy faithfulness, O Lord." What a truth to remember. Jeremiah was sinking in the pit of despair one minute and then pulling himself out of the pit of despair the next, all because he remembered of the steadfast love of the Lord. His hope is renewed. And then he states in verse 24, "The Lord is my portion, saith my soul. Therefore will I hope in him." His hope has returned. Jeremiah suddenly realizes God is the only one he can put his hope in. Wow. In the middle of his despair, his hope is renewed. See, maybe you are sinking in despair this morning. Maybe there is trouble all around you. Maybe you've gone through so much in your life that you've seen so much bad stuff that you've even forgotten what it was to be happy. Your heart may be crushed by the things going on in your life, and the situations that surround you right now look awful. But right in the middle of all of that, God can help you remember and renew your hope. That's what I came by for this morning, to remind you of the Scripture, to remind you that His mercies are new every morning. Today is a new day, a fresh start today. I came by to declare to you what Jeremiah declared. He is my portion. He is our portion. Therefore, we can hope in Him. I don't know what circumstances are surrounding you today. I don't know what you're dealing with, or if you possibly are sinking in the pit of despair. But I do know that God is faithful. I know He is our portion. I know He is our hope. And God can turn it around, and He can bring you out of that pit of despair today. Your world might be seemingly falling apart, but God is faithful. Remember, His goodness is not contingent upon your circumstances. You know, if you're hurting today and your heart seems crushed as Jeremiah's was, God can heal that hurt today. Today's a new day because He's granting new mercies. We can walk in that confidence that He is in control of it all. He is our portion. He is our hope. I pray that in this moment, truth steps in and you too can get a hold of it. For great is thy faithfulness, O God. Remember His mercies today and every day. God bless you.